In this episode, you're going to learn what our current investment strategies are and how you can become financially free. Listen in.
I think it's so cool, the pivot and the shift that you made, going from not only buying out the whole island to the resort piece, right? Just allowing more people to interact with it. But, from a revenue side, thumbs up.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Just another way to have impact and to create sustainable growth for the business. It's always important. Businesses have to grow, got to have cash flow. But I got a question. What else are you doing? People want to know. What other investment strategies are you focusing on right now? What asset classes?
Yeah.
What is Britnie Turner focused on?
I'm always developing. As you know, I'm still a real estate investor. I'm still a real estate developer. I still have projects going all over the world. I'm still revitalizing the urban cores. But my next phase of life is really exciting because I try to study the masters and the people who have changed the world as we know it, the true world shifters. And what they've done is they've taken their passion and they've mixed it in with another passion. And so they create these like really interesting synergistic things. So for example, Steve Jobs, he was obsessed with human touch and he was frequently caught looking at his hands. Just looking at his hands and how do they work and looking at like fingerprints. And it's kind of weird looking. I think people would observe him in a room just like, oh. But he was also obsessed with technology. And so lo and behold, you put those two things together. We've got no separation essentially of human beings, physical touch, and the merger of technology. And so there's also the developers of Wynwood Walls. They were obsessed with art and they were obsessed with real estate. And they put those two things together and they created I think it was one of the number one tourist attractions in the whole world. Like
Really?
13 million people visited that part of Miami, which was known as a very dangerous place that nobody wanted to go, with ugly buildings. And they turned these ugly white block buildings into these gorgeous art pieces by partnering with people from Art Basel. And so it's just amazing to put those two things together and watch the shifts and how the world reacts to that. And so for me, what I'm really understanding about myself, because especially for our young listeners out there, you just do what you love. You're figuring out who you are and what you love with time and with practice. That's why we do things like internships, just figuring out what you really care about versus just ideas. I am a person who loves, I guess you could say, rehabbing. I love the essence of rehabbing, which is taking something broken, blighted, abused, abandoned, that's something people don't believe in, and seeing the beauty past what is into what can be. I love doing that with people. I love doing that with places. And an easier way to say it is I love elevating people and places. So my investment strategy for the future, in which I talked about last episode, is there really is a market for this, is taking how do you create spaces that change people's lives? Because I would say I'm not very good at many things. I'm very good at probably two things, which is that and one solid karaoke song. That's it. Not good at other things.
That's okay.
And that's okay. I'm sticking with it and getting better and better. So how do you create spaces that change people's lives? So when you ask me, what are my current investment strategies? My investment strategy is to continue to weave my purpose and passion together, because that's how you scale quickly. A lot of people ask me, how do you scale quickly? You scale quickly when you're actually powered up by your why and you found a powerful way to weave it into every single thing you do. And so now that I've created a case study with what we're doing on the island, it is time to scale it. And so the opportunities that are coming my way, that we are looking through, that I hope more people even continue to bring us opportunities for, is taking this concept of transformative spaces and taking it more locations. Again, is there a need? Every business will work when there is a true need. So you tell me, is there a need for people's lives to be transformed and for them to understand they have purpose?
There's a need for that.
There's a need. There's obviously depression sweeping the planet. This is the best way to combat that. Is there a market for it? You just ask these questions. And so is it going to work? And that's one of my favorite things that Richard Branson taught me. And I believe I've said it here before. It's, if you want to be a millionaire in a year or less, take any successful American company and do it overseas. And so this is not an American company. This isn't the BVI, but taking something that has proven to work is what he's trying to say. He's like, I'm taking cell phones to whatever location it was. You think people are going to like it? It's like, yeah. So taking concepts that are proven to work, more locations, is a proven solid investment strategy. And I have a track record now of being just a little early on things. Just a little early, but I know and can feel, I'm an empath, where things are going and how they trend. And again, I might get there a little early, but when things start to really take off, we're typically number one. And so my investment strategy is to do more of these immersive locations that change people's lives. To me, that's double prizes, and there's a huge need for it. So what are your current investment strategies? Because the world is changing. And my top takeaway with all of this craziness going on, with all these ups and downs and how much the media is rocking the world with fear nowadays, the only way I've found to survive is to be the freaking best. What are your strategies on navigating the markets and current investment opportunities you're going through?
Let's do it. I'm going to break that down.
Break it down.
Coming at you. So last season and last season before that, one of the things we talked about was how alcohol will become the new smoking. Right? Where people will stop doing it.
Yeah.
They'll doing it a lot less.
And
it might not be as invasive as it is, or as everywhere, all encompassing.
That's why you're seeing the toughest looking waters in the history of mankind.
Right.
Liquid death. It's water.
So smart. Such a
But
good.
you look hardcore at a bar drinking water.
You do.
It's amazing.
Precisely.
It's working.
And that's why it was done.
Yeah.
I think he listened to the episode that we did.
Absolutely.
And was like, let me create
We need
that.
10%.
We do. Things like that. So I'm investing in health. I'm investing in the body. I'm investing in things that go into the body. One of my investment strategies has always been make some money in the stock market, take that money in the stock market, and then recycle it other places. So for me, I think wealth is second grade math repeated over and over and over. That's what wealth is, essentially. If you can buy an asset that you're extremely confident is going to go higher, and then if that asset goes higher and you can take as much of that asset gain as possible and then put it into something else or something else's and let that grow, eventually you're going to have to get one right. So I've been studying a lot of private equity firms and venture capital firms, learning the difference between the two, understanding what they are, understanding how to interact with them, talking to the owners, talking to the operators, really learning about the equity space, because I have a lot of experience in hedge funds. I created 2 hedge funds in my previous experience.
Nice.
And so I know a lot about how hedge funds work and how the funds work and how the operations work. But now I'm really engaged in taking funds and spraying them around in private equities. You've heard me say that term before. 90% of millionaires are made from real estate, but 100% of billionaires are made from equities. Well, equities being ownership or shares of a company.
Yeah.
One of my investment strategies right now is the markets, the general stock markets, are in an absolutely bonkers uptrend. I mean, they are going bananas. Bitcoin's gone from 25,000 to 65,000 in 3 months. Nvidia has gone from the 18th largest company in the world to the 2nd largest company in the world.
Wow.
It's larger
It's quite a leap.
It's such a huge leap. I mean, its current value of a company is larger than 1 year of the gross domestic product of China.
Jeez.
It's huge.
There's not a lot of people there, though.
Right. It's massive.
Oh, my gosh.
Right. So NVIDIA has grown. The semiconductor industry and sector has gone. And yes, that has a lot of propulsion because of AI and artificial intelligence. But what you're starting to see is the landscape of a lot of markets change and shift. And we're at very, very, very high levels right now. So we will need some type of correction, some type of pullback, but generally these trends are going to continue for a while. And so my current investment strategy is find things that are going up, shocker, buy them, let them go up, sell them, take those profits and then invest it into private equity startups, venture capital startups, other businesses and or real estate, and continue doing that cycle over and over and over, because eventually I will be investing into a unicorn. It's going to happen.
What I love about this strategy, and we talked about this a lot, is you need to find ways to grow your cash to then buy assets. That's how you really become financially free. I was explaining the official term to a 14-year-old yesterday who is just a doll. And she was like, well, what does that mean?
You're talking about her?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
she's so sweet.
So sweet. Oh my gosh, so innocent. And I explained, if your expenses, I said, what do you think is a normal amount of expenses every month? Your mortgage, your car, your clothes, going out to eat, all that stuff. And I said, what's like a normal to kind of high amount of expenses? She goes, $1,800. And I was like, okay.
It's low. It's on the low side.
I was like, all right. And so in order to pay those expenses totaling $1,800 a month, how would you do that? And she said, we have to get a job. I said, that's great. Yes, you have to get a job. And you make enough money to be able to pay those expenses. Now, if you used the extra money from your job, let's just believe you had that, to buy something like another rental property, which I gave her an Airbnb tour yesterday. And that rental property, not only did it pay its expenses, but it left you with $2,000 a month on top of that in cash flow. Would you still have to go to work to pay your bills? And she said, no. So the official term financially free means you don't have to go to work to pay your bills. You have assets coming in that cover those expenses. Now, the only hard part about that is as your dreams grow, so do your expenses a lot of times. And so you might have to keep becoming financially free by investing really well. But what J Money Newsome is explaining is building up your cash in something like stocks with that excellent, very simple strategy, and or using house flips in real estate investing to get these chunks of cash to then buy things that bring in probably a little slower, but more stable, continual income, to where you've got income coming in every month from the nice, smart assets that you bought, and you no longer have to get up and work for money anymore. And that should be everyone's goal. And that's there's nothing selfish or greedy or bad about that. You're doing a good thing in the world. And the biggest thing you're doing is buying your time so you can do whatever you want.
I got to talk about that for a moment, because you're 100% right. The buying the time is the part that a lot of people misconstrue, because let's go to the stock market, for example. If I put in $100,000 and let's say I trade a cryptocurrency with it, there's a chance that I can make a 50% return in 9 days.
Yeah.
So you can make 50 grand in 9 days doing nothing. That's very, very, very possible.
That's okay.
It's okay. It's decent. But what's interesting about that is when you talk about buying time, the individual's brains a lot of times forget that that is still 9 days.
Yeah.
Which means in that 9 days, you have to do nothing. Like you're putting your money and you're leaving it alone, because they're thinking in order to make 50%, you need to buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell every 27 seconds. No, dude. You put some money in an asset, leave it alone for a little bit. Let it do its thing. And then when that asset sells and you have that $50,000, here's the part that I want to bring up. Most people do not know what they should be doing with that $50,000, because that $50,000 can and should, for a lot of people, buy time. And when I say buy time, meaning you might not have to go into work, or you can take a unpaid vacation, or you can, if you are self-employed, pay your bills for 2.5 to 3 months ahead of time. If your expenses are $1,800, I'll talk about this in just a second. But let's say your expenses are a little bit more closer to the average American, which is around $10,000 a month. If you have $50,000, you bought 5 months worth of time. Now, the question is, will you actually go do something with that 5 months?
Right.
And most people don't. Most people do not actually. Here's the thing, Brett.
I call this your runway.
Yes, they don't actually sell and take their $50,000 of profit. And then they don't take that $50,000 of profit and then go buy 5 months of expenses. They don't do that part. That's the part that you must do, because now once you do it, guess what? You're financially free for the next 5 months. And so it allows you to think, to plan, to dream, to scheme. How many times have I messaged you after a long run? I got the best idea ever, Britt. Here it is.
A lot.
This is the solution to all of our problems.
I got this idea.
I'm a mouth breather. But yeah, so it's like I come up with the idea because I'm out, right? I've bought my time for that day or that week.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's even a month. If I do a really good trade and I make a lot of money, I can pay for a whole month of time. And so then that whole month, I'm spending time with Jason. I'm going out and playing. I'm going on long runs. I'm doing things for me so I can think about the next opportunity.
I mean, imagine your assets brought that amount in every month. And you could just not have to go hunt and kill every month.
Yes.
I mean, so you have an amazing skill that you can rely on because you just know how to make money even when markets are quote unquote doing bad.
Yeah.
But for other people, you know, the solid strategy is to be making these chunks of money to then turn them into something to have all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Correct. And initially that asset, so let's go back to this $1,800 example, because this is actually a really great example, because a lot of people feel like there's no way they can ever make it with $10 an hour, right? It's like, that's impossible. If $1,800 was actually your expenses, let's just say for the month, that'd be amazing. But let's just say that's the case. If you work 60 hours a week and you get paid $10 an hour, 60 hours a week, that's like your first part-time job.
Yeah.
60 hours a week. Like, oh, congratulations. You're working. That's really nice. That's $600, not including overtime or anything like that. That's $2,400 a month. So you're talking an excess of $600 after all of your expenses are paid. So that $600, you got to start buying some time. Use that $600 in this exact example for a while to buy books, to buy courses, to buy classes, to buy online things. You can go on Udemy, udemy.com, and buy a course on pretty much anything for less than $35.
Yeah.
I have 44 courses on there. Like, you can buy a course on there for anything for so inexpensive. And you can learn from brilliant people, Britney, for like $10. You can learn Bitcoin coding for $10 on Udemy. This is the capacity that's what you're going to do. You're going to buy time. You're going to buy knowledge.
It's the education of the future, really.
Correct. And as you spend time and energy and efforts, you can learn, you can grow, and then you'll have the capacity and the ability to actually do what you're talking about, what we're talking about, and what we're going to talk about in the next episode, because I have a tip that we've probably mentioned before, but I want to make sure I mention it again, because I've been talking to people and they've been blown away every time I bring it up, and it will change your entire life. In fact,
this is a good one.
If you do this one strategy, Britney, you'll be a millionaire in 10 years. Guaranteed.
We got to do this.
Can we talk about it?
Should we share it?
Next episode.
I mean, yeah. We're getting requests from all over the world with people who know veterans and first responders who need the Heal the Heroes program. The best way to nominate or sponsor a hero in your community is to go to healtheheroesinitiative.com.